Cheers. 17 years.
Cheers, 17 years. I love you.
I love you.
Our wedding was a fairy tale. It was so beautiful, it was so romantic. I felt like a princess on that day, and
She was a princess.
well, that's because I married my prince.
Dating, she said she was waiting for Prince Charming to show up. And so I thought about that a little bit. And so I went out to Shasta College in Redding, California. I was able to get my hands on Prince Charming wear. Then my niece has a show horse with all of the decorations that you would put on a fancy horse in the parade.
It was the most romantic moment of my life. And he got down off the horse and onto his knee with 24 red roses and a beautiful diamond ring. And here we are 17 years later, and while our marriage is not perfect, it's still a little bit of a fairy tale. Before he would marry me, he told me that when he retired, he was going to live on a boat.
Yeah.
I didn't believe him. But
I hardly believed it myself. It was just a dream of mine. But
together we've been to 17 countries.
our first trip was on our honeymoon, and we went to Bangkok, Thailand, and traveled south. We spent 2 weeks in Bangkok and went to some of the islands and did some hiking and just general carousing, and it was a pretty fantastic time. And we've been back, actually 10 years later. We went back on our anniversary and went to Bangkok again.
On our honeymoon, we also went to Cambodia, which is just the most incredible country to visit. The most incredible ruins we have ever seen, and we've seen a lot of ruins before, but the Angkor Wat is just something to not miss. It's
Fantastic.
breathtaking.
Anyway, we liked Southeast Asia so much we ended up going back to Vietnam, and we did another 2 weeks there.
We took a boat ride out while we were out in Vietnam and saw the most beautiful scenery. Saigon, Vietnam, I had my very first beer. Saigon beer in Saigon, Vietnam. How cool is that? I remember that moment very well.
Yep, so she was a teetotaler when we met, and I wasn't. There was a bar right on the corner with outside seating, and they were serving Saigon beer in Saigon. So I broke her in with some Saigon beer, and
Yep.
she hasn't been the same since. But we did a trip through the Yucatan Peninsula, then down through Belize and through Guatemala and sought Tikal. So what we did was fly into Cancun. We rented a car to photograph the flamingos, because there's a breeding ground over there. You can get really close to them. So then we headed out southwest and crossed the border into Belize and saw all the ruins over there. And then we went into Guatemala. I think those pyramids were featured in the Star Wars movies. The rebel base, I think, was over there. There's a few shots of the pyramids because they're so high, they're up above the trees. And it's just a really cool thing to see.
We got to climb Templo 5, and it might actually be one of the scariest moments I've ever had.
It's hard to get down. You can go up it, but man, it is so steep coming down. It is just petrifying.
Where were those sugar trucks? Remember those giant sugar trucks that had the sugar cane?
Oh, it was down through Belize.
I think it was in Guatemala that we saw monkeys in the trees. And, we saw toucans
in the trees in Belize.
Have our coffee on the balcony, and there was toucans in almost all of the trees right there in front of us.
We started making memories pretty early.
Usually on our anniversary, we go somewhere warm. And we go to the beaches, and we get suntan, and we relax in the sand. Well, one year we went to Italy in January. It was so stunning. One of my favorite places. I just loved Italy. We actually flew into Switzerland, stayed one night in Switzerland, and took the train through the Swiss Alps and landed in Milan.
Unseasonably cold weather all throughout our entire trip there, so I didn't feel my feet until we got back into the United States.
It snowed. It actually snowed in Rome while we were there. It had not snowed in Rome in
25 years. So the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that trip. We saw David statue.
We went to Venice. We got lost in the Venice streets. Absolutely the most incredible place. So beautiful, so romantic.
Saw the Bridge of Sighs in Venice.
Let's see, our very first anniversary we spent in Puerto Vallarta.
I remember we went out on the beach and we rented this horseback riding, and because the horse that I rode, the saddle was made out of a tree stump. I'll probably hurt the horse pretty good, but it hurt me too.
We've been to Mexico a few other times. We went with my brother and sister, Melissa and Rocky. We went to Cancun. And then the last Mexico trip we took with them, we flew into La Paz. We had a great trip.
Hotel California.
Cabo Wabo. Did some snorkeling with the sea lions, of course, all the touristy things you have to do. And oh, it was fantastic.
So one year on our anniversary,
we flew to San Andreas Island, and that is where I became scuba dive certified. He already was, so I've been just doing Discover Scuba classes every time we dove before. It is some very incredible adventures under the sea.
Been diving ever since.
It's every country we go to, we try to get in a dive when we can, and
unless she gets her way and we go someplace cold.
Then we don't dive, because we're definitely fair weather divers. We learned in Dominican Republic
how to make a mojito. I'm a mojito expert.
Yes, you use a mortar and pestle. Our next flight was to Puerto Rico. We happened upon this beautiful little antique store, which we spent hours in because it was so much fun. And here it was, hidden in this little corner, this beautiful wooden mortar and pestle. Anyway, when we found it, it was just old and gross. And so we took it into his dad's workshop that he had back in Reading, and he fixed it all up and turned it and sanded it, re-oiled it, and it's been with us now for 10 years or
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a gal show us one of the cathedrals in Colombia that was fantastic. It was so high. It was this ginormous Catholic church, and she took us up there, and we could look down from one of the top spires and into the into the sanctuary is just unbelievable.
In 2018, we went to Bali and did probably my favorite dive there. It was a shore dive and a wreck dive. It was absolutely incredible. We toured all around Bali. The people in Bali are incredible.
Yeah, everybody's friendly.
It was just a wonderful, beautiful country to explore. And later that year, we went to Paris and Prague. It snowed.
In the wintertime, in the snow.
Well, it was my birthday present, so. We actually spent my birthday and we spent Christmas. We arrived, it was one of my most favorite birthday moments. We arrived into Prague late the night before my birthday. We went to the hotel and we checked in. It was pretty late, and
right.
we were starving for dinner. She said, I don't know if anything's open, but you can try this restaurant right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Super interesting atmosphere. Anyway, we went there for dinner. They had just closed, but they welcomed us in, gave us a beautiful table, sat us down, gave us menus. Here it is. It's probably close to about 11 o'clock at night.
They stayed open late for us.
And they stayed open, and by the time we were finished eating, it was midnight, and they turned the lights out, and they brought me a piece of cake with a candle on it. And they came around the corner singing happy birthday to me.
Some other language.
It was amazing. We toured the most beautiful Christmas markets in Prague. And back in Paris for Christmas, it was so romantic. We went to Singapore. We had those Singapore slings.
Singapore sling.
And you learned how to make those, and they were delicious.
Yeah, there's like 9 ingredients in a Singapore sling. So we got back to the States and I was able to find everything and had some family over and everybody had Singapore slings after that trip.
Great. I was at the top of that hotel that looked like a hot dog. It's on top there.
Giant
The
hot dog hotel.
rooftop pool. And we saw that beautiful night show. So that was an incredible show. So one of the things that we absolutely loved doing together was photography. We've had 2 photography studios. We've done fashion shows in Redding, California with local boutiques. That was incredible. We've photographed many weddings, lots of fashion photography shoots.
10 years we did that together.
That was incredible. I've loved photography since I was 9 years old. The furthest away wedding that we were hired for, was Cozumel. It was absolutely stunning wedding. And the most secret wedding that we photographed, which we were not allowed to show a single photograph from, was the Hearst Estate wedding. And that was incredible. We also did, do you remember, our Dancing with the Stars, Redding, California style?
I was taking dance lessons and she was taking dance lessons and we ended up meeting on the dance floor, basically. Pretty soon we were dance partners and one thing led to another.
So back in 2007, we started sailing. You started taking...
Yeah, I joined Club Nautique in San Francisco and started taking sailing lessons, commuting from Redding, 4.5 hours away. Got some certs. That was in preparation for what we're doing today, basically. And chartered quite a few times. Our last charter was in San Francisco, and we sailed it all the way to Napa, the Napa River, and that was a really fun time. And I'll never forget coming back. We were on the same tack for like 10 or 15 miles. It was fantastic.
We chartered, just the two of us, quite a bit. We chartered with both my sisters and brothers-in-laws, and oh my gosh, we just had the most epic time. We went backpacking at Grizzly Lake. Oh, it was epic. It was so beautiful. It was such a hard climb. We went with my sister and brother-in-law.
We went to Grizzly Lake in the Trinity Alps, located in Northern California. It's 19 miles one way uphill to get there. Never forget it. It was a fantastic trip. Grizzly Lake, I recommend it.
Definitely bucket list.
So my brief little history is that my dad was a B licensed contractor, and I was the oldest son, so I started work with my dad at an early age. So after 7 years of construction, I went back to school and started taking some college classes at the local junior college there in Redding, California. 3 years later, went to University of California, Davis, got an engineering degree, got a civil engineering degree, moved back to Redding, and I've been a civil engineer for 30 years.
A couple of highlights in my life that I have. One of them would be meeting the Beach Boys way back when. I got to hang out with them backstage. I got to go to the beach with them. I got signed CD covers from them. It was so epic, so amazing, so incredible to have met them all. That was just a big special moment for me. I got to go to London and Paris with my dad. He knew how much the Eiffel Tower meant to me. And while we were in London, the Queen of England drive right by us. It was amazing. We also got to see the 200th anniversary of the Battle of Trafalgar, and that is something that they only celebrate every 100 years, so that was amazing that we got to be there to see that. But it was incredible because when we traveled over to Paris with my dad and I'm standing there in front of the Eiffel Tower, and all I could think about was I wanted to get back to this man who I had just met. I met him in March. I was standing in front of the Eiffel Tower July 1st. I was home on July 4th. And we were engaged on July 23rd. We married 6 months after. It was incredible. That was definitely a highlight. Also, the fact that I am an auntie to 6 nieces and nephews is a major highlight for me. I loved spending time with them. One more highlight for me was having my hair cut while we were in San Francisco. I was so bored with my hair. My precious husband, we're at the mall. He walks over to a gal that has a nice hairstyle. I have no idea what he's doing. And he asks her where I should go to get a haircut. He is able to get me in. This lead hairstylist is able to get me in that day. He sketches out what he has in mind for what he thinks would be a good haircut for me. And he gave me the most beautiful haircut. While I was waiting for that haircut, I was sitting right next to Natalie Portman as she got her nails done. Oh my gosh.
Special day.
It was super special.
When I was younger, I just loved riding motorcycles, dirt bikes and street bikes both. That was like one of the funnest things I've ever done, actually. I did make my own wine once. I had started a vineyard, had 400 plants, and I made a 50-gallon drum and 2 carboys of Cabernet Sauvignon and Ruby Cabernet. Maybe I'll do that again someday. But the greatest thing that I've ever really accomplished is my 2 kids and my grandkids. Love you guys. Lots.
So we bought a house. It's a beautiful home. Very old, 1984. Funny thing is, it's the same year as our boat. Anyway, they hadn't done anything to it. 0 remodeling. We completely remodeled this house. It was beautiful when we were finished. It was absolutely stunning. He did so much work.
So we bought this house, and 4 years later, we had it completely remodeled. Had it completely remodeled, and then I retired in 2018. Retirement was fantastic, and if you can swing it in any way, shape, or form, I recommend it. We sold the house, bought an RV, traveled the U.S. for 2.5 years. Saw
Incredible.
a lot of things we'd never seen before. We had no idea how cool the United States was, how many things there were to see, and how much beauty and expanse there was. Oh my gosh, the United States is really a great place to visit. We didn't know this. We were busy. Every time we go on a vacation, we got on a plane and went international.
Highly, highly recommend it. It is the most incredible adventure, I think, being in an RV, living in an RV, traveling around from state to state, meeting people, seeing sights. The history is phenomenal. I mean, we are a baby country compared to all of the other countries. I understand that, but we still have some beautiful history, and I highly recommend seeing it firsthand.
So we didn't see the whole thing, but we saw 33 states. And we went back and forth across the U.S. twice. And so we took the RV into Baja California finally, and came down to La Paz, found this boat, decided to pick up the boat, sold the RV.
I feel like I have lived an extremely full life. I feel very blessed, very fortunate.
Looking back, we've done a lot, no doubt about it.
We have done a lot, and I'm honored that God brought you into my life.
I'm happy too.
I grew up with the greatest family. We're very close. We've done lots of trips together, many, many trips. Over the years, the whole family's gotten together to Disneyland many times. That was really fun. And we've done a lot of camping together in the RVs.
I even had to go twice.
It was so much fun. We've done camping trips in our RV several times with all of the family. And the last one we got to do with everybody was to Yellowstone and Glacier National Park. And that is a trip we will never forget. It was absolutely incredible. The sights we got to see, the animals we got to see, and the family that we got to be with doing it. It was incredible.
Yep, that was a wonderful trip.
Darn it. We both have experienced heartbreak in the last year. More heartbreak than we have in our entire marriage, our entire lives, honestly. But we are grateful to God.
We're grateful to God for what we have and what we had to look forward to. But every family has experienced death in their families, but we've had a pretty good little handful of it in the last year and a half or so.
Yeah. But I am eternally grateful to God for the life that I have, for what we have in this life, for the life that we've gotten to spend with our loved ones before they were gone. It's been an incredible adventure, and we look forward to many more. Cheers to all of you.
Thank you for your kind comments to the videos.
It means a lot.
And she spends a lot of time on those videos, let me tell you. And each comment makes a difference and means a lot.
It means so much.
Thank you for that. This is just a self-funded endeavor here, and we're just doing this for our own record and for our family. And if you guys enjoy it, that's even a bonus right there.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
Yep, very much a bonus.
So
here's to you.
Here's to you for watching.
Here's to us, and here's to many more.
Yeah.
Thank you, hon. Love you.
I love you.
And happily ever after. Cheers.